What if I told you there's a place in the middle of the Texas desert, surrounded by ancient mountains, painted skies, and absolute silence, where every single plot tells a completely unique story, where you'll find bottles and toys and musical instruments, handmade crosses, and personal treasures carefully arranged by the people who love them most. This isn't a movie set. This isn't an art installation. This is Terlingua Cemetery. And I'm about to show you why I think it might be the most fascinating, most human place I have ever stood in my entire life. As we walk, let me give you a little context. Because this place didn't just appear out of nowhere. There's over 100 years of incredible history baked into this desert ground. We're in Terlingua, Texas. If you've never heard of it, don't worry. Most people haven't. It sits right on the edge of Big Bend country in far west Texas, just a stone's throw from the Mexican border and the Rio Grande. And honestly, getting here is half the adventure. You're talking hours of open highway, big sky, and the feeling that civilization is slowly fading into your rearview mirror. This cemetery was established in 1902, and it's listed on the National Register of Historic Sites. It's maintained by the Terlingua Preservation Foundation, and as you're about to see, it is deeply loved by the community that keeps it alive. But to understand why this place exists, you need to understand what happened here. In the late 1800s, this barren stretch of desert became something nobody expected, a boomtown. Mercury, also called quicksilver, was discovered here, and mercury was valuable. It was used in everything from explosives to gold and silver processing. So almost overnight, the Chisos Mining Company set up operations and workers began flooding in. Now here's the thing people don't realize about life out here back then. It actually wasn't terrible. By 1913, Terlingua had a fully stocked commissary, an ice-making plant, a post office with mail service 3 times a week, telephone service, and even a dependable water supply. The Chisos store, which sat right in the heart of this little desert community, reportedly drew customers from 100 miles in every direction on both sides of the Texas-Mexico border. People said it was the biggest store between Del Rio and El Paso. By the mid-1930s, they had an ice cream shop, a movie theater, weekend dances on a concrete slab right near where we're standing right now. A local school teacher named Hattie Grace Peters summed up life here perfectly. She said, "We had a good life. We made our fun." And the people who lived and worked here, they came from all over. Many were skilled workers and laborers from northern Mexico and San Carlos region. Families who crossed the border seeking steady work and a better life. Their descendants, by the way, are still woven throughout the southwestern United States today. But life in this remote, untamed corner of Big Bend could also be brutal. The work in the mines was genuinely dangerous. Falls, equipment failures, exposure to mercury vapor, silicosis from the dust, they were real daily risks. And then in 1918, the influenza pandemic hit. That epidemic, more than any single event, is what filled this cemetery faster than anything else. It swept through this tight-knit community and took people of all ages, workers, families, children. And so this place grew, plot by plot, story by story. Okay, so now that you know the who and the why, here's the part that absolutely stopped me in my tracks when I first walked in here. Look around. Every single one of these is different. In most cemeteries, you get uniformity. Matching headstones, neat rows, maybe some flowers. There's a formality to it, a distance. This place, there's zero distance here. Some even have bottles arranged carefully all around the plot. Now there's a tradition in some cultures, particularly in African and Afro-Caribbean traditions, but also found in parts of Mexican folk culture, where bottles are placed on graves. Some believe the bottles capture wandering spirits. Others use them simply as a symbol, something the person loved in life, something that says, "I knew this person, I knew what they liked." Whatever the specific meaning here, The intention is unmistakable. Somebody came here and said, I want people who walk by to know something real about who this was. Some unfortunately have toys. You don't need me to say much here. Someone young rests in that spot, and whoever loved them wanted to make sure the world knew they were someone who played, someone who laughed, someone whose life, however short, was full of something joyful. Some have musical instruments, or pieces of them. This tells you everything, doesn't it? Whoever arranged that wanted every single stranger walking through to know this person made music, this person had rhythm and soul and sound. And that's what separates Terlingua from anywhere else that I've seen. This isn't a place of anonymity. Every plot is a portrait, a biography told in objects, a love letter written in things left behind. Some are elaborate, some are simple. Just a wooden cross and a few carefully placed stones, but all of them say the same thing. This person mattered, and we remember. Here's something I found really moving. This cemetery is still active. It's not just a historical site frozen in time. You can see the newer graves mixed in among the ones that are over 100 years old. The community still brings their people here, and every year on November 2nd, Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, people gather right here in the desert to celebrate, remember, and honor everyone who rests in this ground. That tradition, which has deep roots in Mexican and indigenous culture, is alive and well in Terlingua. Can you imagine that? Standing here at night, surrounded by candles, music, marigolds, the Chisos Mountains in the background, the Milky Way overhead? Yeah, this place is something. And can we take just a second to talk about where this is? Because even setting aside all the history, even setting aside the incredible personal touches on every plot, just standing here is an experience. You've got the Chisos Mountains rising up to the south. You've got the absolute stillness of the Chihuahuan Desert stretching out in every direction. And when the sun goes down out here, and we time this visit perfectly, the sky turns into something that feels almost impossible. Oranges, pinks, deep purples. The kind of sunset that makes you put your phone down for a second, which, coming from a guy who films everything, is saying a lot. There's something fitting about a place this beautiful, being where people choose to remember the ones they loved. Like the landscape itself is participating, like the desert and the mountains and the sky are all in on it. Terlingua Cemetery isn't a sad place. Walking through here, I didn't feel sadness. I felt something closer to awe and gratitude. Gratitude that humans across every culture and every era find ways to say you were here and you were loved. So I'm going to stop talking now because honestly, this place deserves to speak for itself. For the rest of the video, I'm just going to walk. You're going to see the plots up close. You're going to see the desert, the mountains, the colors of the sky. And I think if you let yourself slow down and just look, you're going to understand why I drove all the way out to the middle of nowhere in Texas to share this with you. If you've been here before, drop a comment. I'd love to hear what it meant to you. And if this is your first time seeing Terlingua Cemetery, welcome. You're in for something special, and I highly recommend a visit.